Lately there's been a lot of discussion around Woolies milk, not all of it accurate. So we really tried to take all of the most typical customer responses and answer some of those questions for you here today by coming to a typical Woolies dairy farm. My name's Justin Smith, by the way, from our sustainability team, and my colleague Bob Mgia Dlamini and I are going to try and answer some of those questions for you.
Our organic milk is organic, and we know this because we follow European Union legislation. We'd love to follow South African organic dairy legislation, but there simply isn't any yet, and that's something we're actually talking to government about. Local standards would make it much easier for everybody in the market. And of course, we don't set the test and market ourselves. We rely on independent auditors to certify our organic farmers. And that means that you can trust that we're not just saying it, an independent expert is also looking into this. We assure you that our organic milk is exactly what it says on the label. It's organic. Our labelling is accurate. Now, there are a couple of things you need to know about labelling. To begin with, you can't say just what you like on labels. In South Africa, labelling is highly regulated, so we have to follow very clear government rules about what we can and cannot say. Secondly, these rules don't stay the same all the time. They change, and we have to keep up with them and update our packaging accordingly. And a final point is that we're a growing food business, and that means we're welcoming new farms and suppliers all the time, and our packaging has to be updated to reflect this.
This is an average pasture scene for the Woolies cows that produce our milk. Unfortunately, we can't have this every day of the year in every part of South Africa, again based on the climatic conditions and weather that we deal with in parts of South Africa. We also do try and provide people with milk from the region that they're close to, so that's another complexity in this whole discussion. We've got 5 different organic suppliers, and they have to provide access on a daily basis for their cows to be on the organic pastures. They can also only provide organic feed, otherwise the supplier is at risk of losing their organic certification. We've got 35 Ayrshire suppliers as well, and each of those suppliers needs to meet the standards of the Ayrshire Society of South Africa, as well as Woolworth standards. The number of suppliers does change over time, based again on meeting our audit standards and the third-party verification that happens around the dairy standards in place. This is what being housed in the barn looks like. Sometimes in certain parts of South Africa, there's just not enough nutritious grass to actually provide enough food for the cows. These barns also provide shelter and comfort for them from really bad weather conditions like cold, rain, hail, and even extreme heat. Cows are playful social animals, and there's a real danger of hurting themselves and each other with their horns if they're in pastures or in barns, and for that reason dehorning does take place. We try and make sure that suppliers dehorn before 2 weeks of age, when vets tell us that no pain is felt in this process. If it does need to be done later, it must be done under supervision by a vet and with anaesthetic as well. Besides the organic certification that we've spoken about, every single one of our food and clothing suppliers are independently audited by third parties based on a Woolworth Supplier Code of Conduct that looks not only at animal welfare and environmental issues, but also at labour rights, working conditions, minimum wages and other issues across the supply chain. That's part of our whole process of trying to make sure that the Woolworths values are carried through across our entire supply chain. From an animal welfare perspective, we also work with a number of key partners in making sure that we're always up to speed with what's happening internationally and in South Africa and are trying to do the right thing from a humane perspective. Those partners include Compassion in World Farming, WWF and a number of others.